All right, and welcome back into Live Now from Fox. I'm Austin Westfall. We do want to get the latest on the Israel-Hamas war. As always, there is a lot to focus on, and for that, we want to bring in Alon Burstein. As always, Alon, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Live look at Tel Aviv, where the sun is rising. The big news, of course, is that Hamas has named its Gaza leader, Yahya Sinwar, as successor to former political chief Ismail Haniyeh, who was assassinated in Iran last week, the group said on Tuesday. Sinwar is the architect of the October 7th attack, and he's been hiding in Gaza ever since. Alon, what is the significance of Hamas's top guy now being inside Gaza as opposed to Haniyeh, who was watching from the sidelines?
Good to see you, Austin. The significance is great on many, many levels. First of all, there's the macro level for Hamas. Hamas has, for the last 20 years, had a divided leadership. The leadership has been divided between the external leadership that has been in Syria, then moved to Qatar, and then there's been the internal leadership. And historically, the internal leadership was always subordinate to the external leadership. The external leader, the leader of the political bureau, was the chief leader. It was Khalid Mashal, then it was Ismail Haniyeh. And we saw during the war the beginning of the shift. We saw that the external leadership was often, quote unquote, embarrassed almost by the fact that they were negotiating. Ismail Haniyeh was a chief negotiator of Hamas in the hostage negotiations, but he could not promise anything. He could not promise anything about a ceasefire or what Hamas will do until the internal leadership would accept that. And now we're seeing all of a sudden a game changer. For the first time in 20 years, since the assassination of Hamas's founder, Ahmed Yassin, for the first time we have a merging of the two positions. The political leader, the overarching leader of Hamas, is going to be positioned in the Gaza Strip. And he is to large extent also the military leader. He's the leader of the Al-Qassam brigades to large extent. He appointed the new commander of the Al-Qassam brigades. So this is a game changer as far as Hamas is concerned. And then we also have how this will affect the war. Yahya Sinwar is a much more radical figure. We have seen this in negotiations. He has not been pro a ceasefire. Ismail Haniyeh thought that Hamas should go for a ceasefire, thought there should be hostage negotiations. While Yahya Sinwar, he's very happy to let the war go on. He has been quoted at least 3 times as saying we have Israel exactly where we want them. So that is also the effect on the war. We're going to see a lot of changes. This is a really big day for the Hamas movement more broadly and for the way the war is going in particular.
You know, Sinwar and Haniyeh, I'm curious, do they see things differently, as you've already alluded to? Will a Hamas under Sinwar's leadership actually act different than before? What stands out to you?
So it'll be interesting to see if this new position changes the personality or the ideology of Yahya Sinwar. You know, Ismail Haniyeh, throughout his entire history, had been a political figure. He was a figure who grew up in the political wing of Hamas. He was an external figure. He was the Hamas prime minister. When Hamas ran in elections in 2006, he was the figurehead and he became the prime minister. So he was always a politician, so to speak. In turn, Yahya Sinwar has always been a fighter. He has always been someone who was ideologically driven. If I can give a moment of history about Yahya Sinwar, the new leader of Hamas, he was appointed already in the early 1980s, in 1982, to be the leader of the Majid, which was Hamas's internal security, not attacking Israelis, not attacking Jews, attacking Palestinians. He was appointed Hamas's internal political security, someone who would attack Palestinians if they were suspected of collaborating against Israel, suspected of, quote unquote, being immoral, i.e., watching pornography or drinking alcohol. He is very ideologically driven and he's a militant figure. He grew up in Israeli jails to then be an even more prominent militant figure. So, in to large extents, while the two of them, Ismail Haniyeh and Yahya Sinwar, may have agreed broadly on Hamas's trajectory towards what its ultimate goal is, how they went about it is very, very different. Ismail Haniyeh was a politician through and through his entire life, while Yahya Sinwar is a fighter his entire life through and through. He's been a militant figure. But I will say, on that same note, it is interesting to see maybe, very, very maybe, this new appointment will change him. Maybe he will see that he is now a political figure. To some extent, if he were to leave the Gaza Strip, he might even have immunity if he were to go to Qatar or to Iran or something like that. I don't think that's the case. I think that he's going to continue to be a militant figure. But this new position, while not surprising that Hamas has actually seen that they cannot challenge his authority and has appointed him to this position, it is surprising because if not for the war, I would say there'd be no chance that he would be appointed this figure. In his own history, in his personality, this role does not befit him. He's not a political figure. So it remains to be seen, is he going to drag the movement towards more of a militant radical role? Or is the position going to drag him more towards a political, possibly pragmatic role?
Sinwar is thought to be in Gaza, which is relatively small, and it's effectively cut off from the rest of the world, so there's nowhere else for him to go. So alone, help us understand how such a high-profile figure can avoid elimination or capture from a military that's as capable as the IDF.
So I'll say a couple of things. First of all, it is important to note that the IDF has taken some blows. We've seen October 7th. The IDF was seen to be all powerful. I'll give full disclosure. I was on a podcast at the beginning of October, before October 7th and October 2nd, and I said, if the IDF wants, they'll take over Gaza in a matter of days. Clearly, I was wrong. The IDF has been shown to at least not have the same intelligence capabilities about Hamas as we thought that it had, or Hamas has been shown to be a lot stronger than we thought that it was. So that's in terms of, will he be able to evade Hamas, to evade the IDF? Clearly, he has been able to thus far. But what remains to be seen is, again, how is he going to take this role? Historically, whenever someone was appointed the political leader of Hamas, the leader of the political bureau, they have left the Palestinian territories. Khalid Mashal, when he was appointed the figure, he was already abroad. When Ismail Haniyeh was appointed the leader of the political bureau in 2017, he left the Gaza Strip. He went to Qatar because he said the leader of the Palestinians needs to be someone who's not being hunted by Israel. Needs to be someone who can be a political figure. Now, Yahya Sinwar has been appointed the political figure. Some have speculated maybe he'll try to smuggle himself out of the Gaza Strip. Maybe this is his ticket out, so to speak, that he'll manage to smuggle himself out, all of a sudden emerge in Tehran, emerge somewhere, and be the political figure. I have my doubts about that. Like I said, I think he's a true ideologue. I think that what we're going to see is his deputy, Halil al-Hayya, become the external figure. Halil al-Hayya has been Yahya Sinwar's deputy and really a trusted ally throughout the war. He was his deputy in the leadership in the Gaza Strip. Now, when Yahya Sinwar was appointed leader of the Hamas movement, Halil al-Hayya was also appointed to be deputy of the Hamas movement. So the two of them, the internal leadership in the Gaza Strip, were appointed to be the overarching leaders. I think what's going to happen is Halil al-Hayya is going to become the public figure, the figure who we see everywhere else, while Yahya Sinwar is probably going to remain in the Gaza Strip. He's probably going to remain being the fighter that he always wanted to be if the movement were to achieve its ceasefire, if it were to go to some sort of deal with Israel, then we'll see Yahya Sinwar emerge and being the leader of Hamas, possibly the leader of the Palestinians. Until then, he's likely to remain in hiding. Again, all that obviously is speculation. This is a game changer for Hamas, but that's what I would predict. Yahya Sinwar remaining in hiding, following the shots from either a tunnel or whatever apartment he's in, somewhere in the Gaza Strip, and Khalil al-Hayya becoming the public figure and the external leader, so to speak, of Hamas to at least the world.
If the IDF did have Sinwar in their sights, would they want him dead or alive? Would taking him alive pose some sort of security threat?
I don't know necessarily that would pose security threat. Obviously, Hamas would try to liberate him by threatening to execute hostages or possibly to kidnap more people. But Hamas is a terror organization, and if they could actually kidnap more people, they would do that. And if they could, think that they could achieve more by threatening to execute hostages, they probably would do that. But I don't know that it would be any more of a security threat. In this, unfortunately, I must go more political debates of what will be good for Israel, for the government from a political standpoint. From that standpoint, it actually would likely be beneficial to see Yahya Sinwar killed rather than captured. If he's captured, there's going to be a long trial. Israel has a very sturdy judicial system. He would be put on trial. It would take probably a year at least until he was put on trial. There may be military escalations till then. There'd be no political gain in that sense from having him captured, as opposed to we look at the history of terrorist leaders, Osama bin Laden, al-Baghdadi, Ayman Zawahiri, right? I'm talking about the leaders of Al Qaeda, the leaders of ISIS, the leaders in the quote unquote West reap a lot from saying our military managed to hunt them down and kill them. They reap a lot less from having them captured. So I'm not saying that political decisions are the only thing that will guide Israel or Israel's military, but I would argue that if Israel had the possibility to assassinate him, they probably would, rather than risk capturing him and making him and possibly having him evade. It's also important to note that according to all intelligence information, he is likely surrounded himself with at least 5 to 10 hostages within the Gaza Strip in order to avoid that possible targeting and possible assassination. So it's very hard to see how the IDF might actually capture him or kill him. Obviously, if they knew where he would, they might mount some operation. The IDF has had successes in rescuing hostages, so it might happen. But all that remains to be seen. What we do know is that the IDF does not know where he is. If they did know where he is, I would say they would turn every stone, launch every military operation. He is Israel's #1 target. For all intents and purposes, he's the same as Osama bin Laden was for the United States right after 9/11. He is the be all and end all of the Hamas movement.
Alone, we'll leave it there for now. As always, we appreciate your insight and we look forward to your daily YouTube uploads on the war as well. Take care. Have a good night.